Welcome to FacingMelsMusic.com podcast, featuring some of the most heartwarming stories from musicians all around the world on FacingMelsMusic.com.
And welcome to Facing Mel's Music. This is Mel Golding, and today I have a wonderful guest all the way from Seattle. Are you in Seattle? You were raised there as well. I have D.Lisa West, who is a coach, artist, and meditation teacher. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
It's really lovely to meet you, and I've seen some of your work and what you're doing, and I'm really interested in talking about what you're doing and how it helps people, the motives behind doing it. So if we could start with you, let's talk about you as an artist. When did you become an artist? Tell me about that.
When I was a little kid, we had, in families have this reality of who does what. And when I was a kid, I wanted to be a scientist. I was interested in insects and how things worked. I took clocks apart and then forgot them overnight outside until they were all rusty and things like that. And I remember telling my sister as a young adult, I was like, "You're the artist in the family. I'm the salesperson. That's my job." And she said, when we were kids, we were both exactly the same. We could draw the same, right? When we were 8 and 10. But I kept practicing and you stopped, she told me.
That's interesting.
So if you practice again, you could get good. And I became fascinated with that and took a few classes. And eventually I got fired when I was the manager of a real estate office in 2009.
Right.
So the economic crisis had come to the world. Yep. And I heard myself saying when I announced I was going to leave the office, I'm going to spend more time with my family and study art. And I thought, who said that? Then I made it happen. I went to art school for 4 years and studied with a classical atelier teacher who founded a school in Seattle called Gage Academy of Art. And so at the end of those 4 years, I could actually paint something that looked like what it was.
Wow. Amazing.
And I really thought it was so interesting because what you learn in art school is you learn, of course, techniques and how to use the tools, but mostly they teach you how to look at things and how to see things. So I now can look at almost anything with the idea of how would I make that into a painting or drawing. And where is the light shining on it? And where's the shadow? And is that a soft edge or a hard edge? And the analogies to making art and thinking about art and just living in this three-dimensional world we have. Art could be anything. It could be a metaphor for anything.
Yes, absolutely.
So many people think I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. I'm not, kind of like I did way back then. I'm not an artist. You're the artist. Yeah. Well, but don't you know people who sing or cook or sculpt or, we all have these ways to be artistic and creative.
Yes, that's lovely. And you are right there because there are lots of people who believe that they're not artistic.
Yeah.
That, they don't have the ability. It's the same with singing. I have a friend who's a vocal coach, actually. We used to have this argument. And she said, because I actually started to believe it. I thought, well, not everyone really can sing. I have heard some pretty bad stuff out there. Okay, I'm not going to lie. But she says, no, everybody can sing, actually. And with a little bit of coaching here and there and a little bit of, its application, you actually can hone in. And who's to say it's all about pleasing your own ears and feeling free. And that was her argument, really. So it's kind of falling in line with what you're saying. Everybody can paint. It's painting and drawing. You do doodling. We're going to have to get to the doodling at some point.
We're going to get to doodling.
We're so going to get to
doodling is no pressure drawing.
Right? I love that. I love that.
Almost back in the day when we didn't all have computers and phones and little devices to type on, People
Yeah.
leave notes on paper, right?
Mm.
And
Yes.
I've gone to so many meetings in my life where you got an agenda, it was on paper, all these bored people were sitting around a table listening to some event, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I would just be drawing on the edge of the pages or circling the words
Right.
and I got
Yeah.
in trouble in high school for that as
Oh,
well.
oh dear. And now you're making a living out of it. Brilliant. There you go.
Isn't it great?
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. But let's get back to you as an artist. Okay, so basically you did a 4-year study. I take it that, yeah, you did a 4-year course. You got all of that and you became an artist.
Yeah.
But it was obviously always in you because it was in you from your youth. What about the rest of your family? Anyone else? Is anyone else artistic in your family? Anybody?
Well, my sister Anita is an artist.
Yes.
She's an art
Yep.
teacher, and she's been making and selling art most of her adult life.
Right.
In fact, as a young mother, she went to college to get her undergraduate degree in art, and then she later, when she was in her 50s, I'm sorry, my phone is doing something funny. When she was in
You're
her
back.
50s, she went back to school, and she's got a degree to teach art now.
Okay.
My mom was a potter. My dad
Oh.
was a cabinet maker. So it was just always okay in our family to
Yes.
make cool stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. Make beautiful stuff with your hands, right?
How lovely. Just all creative. I mean, it's all creative, isn't it? It's creativity. And what you said before about how you see things, that was really interesting when you said that, just in art, like you started to see things differently, like the shadows, and you paid more attention to angles, I take it, when you were learning about art. That's what they were teaching you. It's almost like a shift in mindset, almost. It's a way of thinking. Does any of that kind of cross over to your coaching?
Absolutely. And what you
Right.
just mentioned about a friend who teaches voice and
Yeah.
she says anyone can sing.
Yeah.
My art teacher also said the same thing about art. He said
Right.
art is like a language.
Mm.
And when you first learn a language, maybe you can say a few words and talk to maybe a toddler. And then after you know the language a little bit more, maybe you can have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then when you know the language a little bit more, maybe you can write it. And when you know it even more, maybe you can write poetry. And so learning any skill, singing, dancing, making art, it's all just trying it out and seeing how it unfolds for you.
Would you say it's also kind of testing your limitations as well? Is it testing strengths, testing limitations, abilities, your self-discovery? It sounds like almost an element of that.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely, Mel. And what comes up for people, especially when you're teaching them anything about self-awareness and how to change,
Mm.
is we're like, oh, I can't do that.
Mm. Mm.
And really becoming any kind of creative person, you have to
Yeah.
go beyond the what stops you from doing it or what stops you from showing it to the world, right? The first
Yes.
time I had an art show, I said,
Okay.
I feel kind of like I stood around naked in front of these people.
Oh,
I mean,
dear.
I'm just showing them these
Yep.
things I
Yep.
feel kind of
Mm.
vulnerable to show them the art I
Yes.
made.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
it was really uncomfortable. But now I'm
Mm.
like, hey, check this out and look at this and look, this is all messy over there and I like
Yeah.
this part of it. And now
Yeah.
I can talk about it and just be really,
Yeah.
really engaged in how
Yeah.
I made it and not
Yes.
be attached to if they like it or
Yeah.
not.
That's really interesting, that transition to a more confident you. You're absolutely right because it's such a you're tapping into a vulnerable part of yourself actually with art, aren't you? I mean,
Yeah.
you are exposing your soul, your intimate ideas, your inner thoughts, your inner world, and it's exactly the same with artists, with musicians when they're songwriting, when they're performing. I think it might have been was it Bono who said from U2, he said it's like ripping your chest open and really exposing your heart, you know, and it's absolutely spot on. It's exactly the same with art. So it's what's lovely about that is the transition to I don't care. That's okay because I'm okay with it. So
Yeah.
because I'm okay with it, and it doesn't matter actually anymore what you think. It matters what I think. So you're actually tapping into also self-love, self-acceptance, self-worth. You're going into all of those areas, aren't you, really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Without even words. I mean, you're using it through doodling, drawing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's the same. It's just another medium to achieve that, actually. It sounds
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell me about your coaching then. I mean, do you do one-to-one? Is it group coaching? How does that work? What does that look like with your coaching?
I do both one-on-one and group coaching. I
Right.
love to do the groups because the people
Yeah.
interact with each other in a way that I couldn't
Mm,
design. You know, someone's
right.
sharing with someone else, and that'll just spark something in everyone. And
Yeah.
if you've ever been in a group that's learning something together, you know what one person struggles with is
Yeah.
often what other people struggle with and don't want to talk about.
Mm, right. So
Yeah,
there's some kind of it takes time, doesn't it? Because you're building trust, I
right,
suppose.
right.
You're building trust, and that it can feel, I suppose, you can feel inhibitions maybe depending on the person, you know, more
Exactly.
outgoing, introvert, extrovert. I think, yeah, you can have a mix, and it does depend, doesn't it? But it's very interesting. Would you say that your art courses are a way to support each other? Is there an element of support that's implemented in that
Oh yeah,
emotional
yeah,
support, or yeah, does that
absolutely. And
right?
I think that my art courses are designed for everyone, even if you're not an artist. So you could be an artist and say, oh,
Right.
that's kind of a silly little exercise. I
Yeah.
did that in art school. Or you could say, what? You could do
Right.
that with a pencil?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Um,
Yeah.
so, but haven't you ever noticed if you're doing something repetitive, like for doodling, you can just be drawing a spiral
Mm,
and then drawing another spiral and then drawing
mm,
another spiral, and then you get into this meditative zone in your
right.
head. It's very similar to meditation where you're sitting with your eyes closed. You just get into the space where you get great ideas just pop right into your head, or maybe a solution to a long conundrum. You can't figure out what to do about something, and then suddenly you're like, oh, this is what I should do. And so I really feel like doodling in that meditative state is a way to tap into your creativity.
Right. Okay. So you're going into the meditation part now. So it's all linked and connected. So do you think you're talking about the doodling? And you did mention something about, I did read it on your website actually about the non-dominant hand for
Yeah.
doodling. Okay. What's behind that one? Tell me about
Well, are
that
you
one.
right-handed or left-handed?
Me, I'm right.
Yeah. Both of my sisters are left-handed. Both of
Okay.
my sisters are left-handed, and my father, when he was a kid, was forced to be right-handed
I've heard these things before.
because
Yep.
it was not okay in the
Yep.
1940s or
Yep.
whenever he was born.
Yep.
Um, so what happens if you use your non-dominant hand is a different part of your brain has to connect with what you're doing.
Right.
And my sisters both say, well, if you're left-handed, you're in your right mind.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's like a joke about that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah, I
want to
can
be
hear
right-handed, be left.
that.
So
Okay. Yeah.
further studies, there's a guy named Ian McCallum. I
Mm,
might be saying his name wrong. He's
okay.
written The Master and the Emissary is his book about the brain and how it works. And we used to think if you're left-handed, you use your right brain. If you're right-handed, you use your left brain. And so if you want to switch how your brain is working, you use your non-dominant hand. It
Mm,
turns out, Ian's written about it, you don't just go to just one hemisphere. All different parts of your brain are all lit up. But it
right.
does make you go
Right.
to an unfamiliar part of your brain
Right.
to access how to make that part of your body work.
Interesting.
So
That's
it shakes
really
up
interesting.
how all the neural pathways just for a minute while you're getting that. And
Yeah.
plus, if you try to draw something realistically with the hands you don't normally use, it
Yeah.
looks like you're a little kid drawing.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad at yourself because you're using the wrong hand, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a fun way to get out of your the part of the brain that wants to criticize everything.
Ah, that's interesting because I was thinking comfort zone. It's
Yeah,
what I was thinking. The
right.
comfort zone. It's like you're moving again. It's a shift, isn't it, to a zone that is completely uncomfortable, but you're allowed to be there in this space, and obviously you're there to facilitate anything that comes up. I mean, do one of my areas as a counsellor actually is obviously mental health, emotional well-being. I mean, do things come up as in emotional issues or any upsets or anything? Does anything come up emotionally whilst the class are doing this?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I did it for a group of women at a retreat. We were just sitting around a table for an hour. I did this little exercise with them, right hand, left hand, draw this, draw that. One of the women was so upset, she was mad at me.
Oh,
She's like, I don't know
okay.
why I didn't like that. It wasn't fun for me. I can't draw.
Oh
She was
dear.
like, I can't draw.
Right.
And I thought,
Okay. Mm,
what an interesting experience.
mm,
I've had people almost be in tears.
right. Right.
Same thing is going on in their head. I'm
Right.
not an artist. I'm not creative. I can't draw.
Right.
Now, the other side of that is someone who's like, oh my goodness, I haven't
Yeah.
had this much fun since I was like in school when I
Yeah.
was a little kid. Can we draw with crayons next? So it totally
It's
depends on
incredible.
yourself, what you're telling yourself while you're doing it, right?
It's almost bringing out the thing that came to my mind there, excuse me, is it's, you talk about this, the reactions. It's incredible, the different reactions that come out of not achieving. It's amazing. You've gone from anger to tears to having joy. It's
Yeah.
bizarre. Fascinating, actually. I'm wondering actually if it feels like there's something more deep rooted for the person that's going on. That's basically something's more deep rooted and going on for them inside. And that actually was a bit of a catalyst to bring out a deep rooted issue. So maybe anger was a part of what this lady learned or received, maybe received criticism, or maybe there's something deeper going on. You know what I mean? And
I
it feels,
absolutely do. Yeah. It
yeah,
reminds me, I took a class once. I don't know if you've heard about something called process painting,
no,
but
that sounds interesting.
it was taught by a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and
Okay.
he was also an artist. And the idea is you don't try to make anything. You ask the painting what it wants to have next. And there was a pile of paints in the middle of the room, and everybody had a big piece of paper on the wall. We were told not to talk, not to interact. If we felt like crying, cry. If we felt like yelling, yell. If we felt like ripping the paper, to paint a rip in the paper. If we felt like burning the paper, to paint a flame on the paper.
Clever. That's clever.
And it was all about the process of making the painting. And this guy who did the class said, professional artists or art people who consider them artists, they have the hardest time doing that process.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I said, yeah, I had this image in my head. I knew what I wanted to paint today, and it didn't turn into that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that. It's like, what is
Yeah.
coming up for you when you're making a piece of, even if it's doodling, why are people upset that their doodle doesn't look right? What's right in a doodle? There's no wrong doodle. It's impossible.
I know. I hear you. It is fascinating. It's like I say, it's fascinating the feelings that come up from that, from what you're
Yeah.
saying. Because I don't think I've ever spoken to anybody before who does doodling as part of a course. I don't think I've actually met anybody who does this.
Oh, that's
This
so
is
cool.
no, it's brilliant. It's absolutely fabulous. I mean, so many thoughts on that. Just to comment on what you just said there on about artists finding it very, very hard to sit there, say nothing, do nothing. It's because I think with this element of perfectionism, and this come up in my conversations before with other guests, and I think this is a big problem, isn't it, actually? Because this pressure that we put on ourselves to achieve something, and instead of just sitting there, and it's exactly the same for musicians. It's exactly the same. Now you've got to sit there, write a song. I mean, what would happen if they all just sat there and just, okay, you're not allowed to talk to each other. See what happens. See what music might come to you, or however you're feeling. I mean, it's an interesting exercise to actually turn that around and apply it to music. I think it would work. I actually think it would work.
Yeah. The other part of that
Yeah.
process painting was when we took a break, we could look at the other people's art, but we were not allowed to comment. You can't say it's good, it's bad, I like this, I like that. You couldn't say anything. You just looked at it, which was also really powerful.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, what do you think about this, Mel? I'm thinking, I haven't done it yet, but I'd love to do a retreat where everyone draws on a ginormous piece of paper, because I've been doing these doodles that are 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide.
Oh, sounds
And
amazing.
what if you spent a few days at this retreat drawing, doodling, putting your thoughts in, and at the end of the retreat, you had to burn it?
Oh,
See, I knew you could.
I'll tell you what.
And I think I can't tell the people till the last day, and we're having a fire ceremony. You bring it out and they'll be like, wait a minute, I can't take it with me. No, it's 6 feet tall. You're not going to roll that up and take it with you.
Shocking, D.Lisa.
I know.
Okay, what's the reason behind it then? What's the reason behind? I think I know the reason, but what is the reason behind burning that, getting rid of it?
Know. It's an idea that popped into my head, and I'm thinking, ooh, people won't like that, but it might be really cathartic.
I think so, actually. I think you're right. I think you should try it. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
I'll invite you.
Oh, I was going to say, I am coming anyway. So of course I'm coming.
Right.
I would love to come over. Yeah, definitely. I just think that is so powerful, because especially if you're putting emotions on, negative emotions, if you're particularly getting rid of frustrations and negative emotions, we always we're happy to burn them,
Right.
aren't we? So if you're putting something negative, thinking of things, it could be, and then burning it at the end, that would be more probably forgivable, is what I'm thinking. There would be a reason.
Yes. Now we're going to let this go.
Now we're going to let it go. I think you should do it.
Okay.
I'll get a plane and come over and do it with you.
All right.
I will.
That's beautiful.
I'm telling you, I'm coming. I'm going to be so busy. I don't know where I'm getting the money from, but apparently I'm going everywhere. But I definitely want to come over. Yeah,
I'd love to have you.
I think it's amazing. I think you should do it. What was I going to say? So, okay, so in a way, we've touched. Do most of the people that you work with and people come to you? Are they coming for the art? Are they coming because they have some kind of mental health issues or emotional issues, or is it a complete mix? What's the main reason?
I'm not a therapist, so I don't help people that have that need mental help. I send them to a therapist. Good. So what coaches, I think what therapists do is that they look into the past and see, how did you get here, and give you some skills to cope. And coaches look into the future. So my signature coaching program is 3 months long, and it teaches you several, I'm going to say, spiritual laws of the universe. So you understand how life works, so that you can imagine a beautiful future and go toward it.
Oh, sounds great.
So basically, people come to me because they're not that satisfied with what's going on right now. Somewhere in their, like maybe in their love relationships, or maybe in their health and well-being, maybe in their career. They think, I'm pretty happy, but I'm not as happy as I could be. So let me get some guidance and help.
Yeah.
And the art part of it is just another way to go deeper into who you are and who you want to be. And tap into your intuition.
That's beautiful. That's lovely. So it is actually largely because of well-being, actually, on whatever in whatever capacity, whether it's like you say, relationships or illness, or it is well-being. Um, it's really interesting, though, isn't it? What art does for your well-being, and it's what about when people come to you and when they attend so many weeks? Do they come to you for so many weeks? They're not one-off sessions, are they? I imagine, is
No,
it?
it would
So it's
be
12. It's a
it's
program,
12 different
right?
sessions with me. Yeah.
What do they leave with? What do they achieve at the end? I mean, it's a very broad question because everyone would take away something completely different. I understand that, but what kind of sticks out the most with you? What do
Well,
they leave with?
one woman I'm working with right now went from having a day job that she pretty much hated
Right.
to starting her own business secretly on the side and getting another day job that she hated.
Right.
She quit her day job and she's fully into her business that she created for herself.
Oh,
So she has made the great leap forward to just going for it.
leap of
So,
faith.
right. So that's the kind of things people do. Maybe they move to a new city. Maybe
Wow.
they, really leap into that love relationship that they want. For her, it was her job.
Okay, that's really interesting. So it's a leap of faith. They take that, they make the decision to change. So you're looking at transformation of some sort.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of, I guess, the goal. That's their own goal. So coming into seeing you is actually the first step towards that. Just literally walking in to your place and to actually,
Right. Right. Actually, the first
yeah.
exercise in any coaching that you do with me is
Mm.
you imagine. I take people into this imaginary time machine,
Mm-hmm.
and we think about those, what areas of their life that they would like to be just a little bit different.
Right.
Then we imagine that we come out of the time machine and it's 3 years in the future.
Mm.
Everything has worked out. It's
Wonderful.
better than you imagined. And so we imagine that from the get-go,
Yeah.
and then we dream up how to get there.
That's great.
Because if your imagination can
Yeah.
give you a dream,
Mm.
it's a dream you can have.
It's wonderful to hear you say that.
Well, it's true.
We all struggle.
The theory is if you couldn't have it, you wouldn't
Yeah.
get it as an idea. It's
Yeah.
an idea from the universe to
Mm.
your human reality. It's
Yeah.
like a soul idea.
Yes. Yeah. I've heard something similar like this about whatever you can think of or imagine is possible.
Right on.
Is
Whatever
possible.
you can
Yeah. It's
believe you can
fascinating.
achieve.
Yeah.
Is another way of saying it. Right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fascinating that. So it's really quite empowering when they come to you. It's empowering people to, I guess it's self-belief as well. You've got that element of self-belief in there, particularly if you're looking at transformation and change and they're taking this leap of faith. They're suddenly making a brave move, that's tapping into a self-belief. I can do it. I can do it.
Absolutely. And to
Yeah.
actually to look at what you would love rather than what, our world shows us what we don't love all day long. In the news, in the media, in your friends, in gossiping about what's wrong.
I know.
What would it look like if we all decided what we would love and did that?
Oh, sounds amazing.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, yes, I wish we could all, we should all go into this course. We should all do this. I think the whole world needs to change their approach completely. Some more than others. I won't even go there.
Right on. Let's not even go there.
So I just want to ask you something because I've got some questions here. I'm so fascinated by what you're doing and the mix of being an artist into coaching. I mean, I know that from myself anyway, but from a musical stance. When did you make the move from artist to coach? How did that happen?
Well, sorry, I'm stuttering.
That's all right.
The beginning of COVID
Oh,
was my moment of reality.
okay.
At the time I was a full-time real estate agent. I've been a real estate
Yes.
agent, or I think you call them estate agents.
Yes.
for 35 years.
Right.
And in Seattle, Seattle was kind of the beginning of COVID right after China. So
Oh,
people started dying and the
wow.
city got shut down.
Yeah.
And I remember the moment I made this decision, I walked across my apartment to sit down at this blue table with this from the 1950s, blue vinyl chair. Here it is. The blue vinyl, let's see. The
Oh,
blue
wow.
vinyl chair
Yep.
like that, right?
Lovely.
Um,
Yep.
And I'm thinking, I'm going to check my email, but I
Right.
can't go on any appointments.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm so happy. I can't go on any appointments. Even if someone calls me and they want to sell a house or they want to buy a house, I can't help them.
Yep.
And so I sat down to check my email and I had a second thought. I was like, oh, holy cow, what?
Yep.
You're happy that you can't do your job
Mm.
because of a government mandate? Maybe
Mm.
this isn't your job anymore.
Yes.
And that day, I
Right.
decided to
Mm.
become a certified coach. And I've been thinking
Right.
about it for many, many years. In fact, I
Right.
remember telling a boyfriend, hey, I think I'll be a coach. And he's like, don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do that. So first of all, don't have that boyfriend anymore.
Yeah.
And
Excellent.
now, after a very
Uh,
long time of studying and a big
Yeah.
financial commitment, I'm now a
Mm.
certified coach with the Brave Thinking Institute. And the
Mm.
woman who started this coaching program, I saw her do a talk 25 years ago. I love her. She's beautiful, Mary Morrissey. She was a licensed, she was a minister for many years. And so what she brings to her coaching is everything she's been doing ministry
Fabulous.
for all the years. And so I just resonated with her program. So now in the morning, I don't wake up and say, oh my God, I hope I don't have to help anybody today. I wake up and I'm so happy
Yes.
that I'm an artist and a coach and
That's
I
great.
get the opportunity to
Mm.
help people.
Yes. Yes. What was I watching the other day? Oh, I love this woman. She's great. Judge Judy.
Uh-huh.
I absolutely love that woman. She is bang on. And I actually shared something in Instagram, social media. And she said there was a little interview. I'll send it to you actually because it's brilliant. Okay,
Okay.
it's only it's under 3 minutes. This little clip, but she says, if you didn't make it in your 20s, make it in your 30s. If you didn't make it in your 30s, make it in your 40s. If you didn't make it in your 40s, make it in your 50s. And then she talked about grandma, I can't remember her name, Grandma Moses or something.
Oh yeah, Grandma Moses.
Yeah, and she says, you know what she says? She didn't start 80. Yeah, there you go. So it's never too late was her message. But it just goes to show it's all about that belief, isn't it? And what you're talking about is you took basically what you're helping people to do, you did yourself,
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
you did yourself. And that is what makes the entire thing completely authentic. I think you have to operate from that platform for authenticity, without having any ulterior motive than it's genuine. It's genuine help, belief, empathy is huge. Your understanding of wanting to change your life is, that can come across and you're able to help others do that by doing all your painting, the drawings, the doodling. It's incredible. So your inspiration to move to coaching was obviously coming from a place where you weren't happy. And that's another thing that she said, Judge Judy, if you don't enjoy it, don't do it. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. And you've got to think about, am I enjoying this anymore? Maybe it's time for a career change. Maybe it's time.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
what I tell people, and I'm sure you tell your clients this too,
Yeah.
if you're telling yourself you should do it or
Yeah.
you have to do it, that's probably the thing you should not do.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to go forward in their life with their should or have to energy. I mean, everything we do,
Oh,
we're choosing to do it,
yes.
whether we think we have to or we should.
Yeah.
So why not choose with joy?
It's like what I'm doing here, okay?
Right.
I have walked right into this, and I have not actually everybody's come to me. I haven't even really reached out that hard, and I've got a whole backlog of people. But
Sweet.
I love speaking with people, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And it's like you talk about do I really have to go there today? I mean, I've had that with
Mm-hmm.
gigging, and I've been gigging for years and years and years and years. When I'm there singing, it's all great, but to get there, to drive there, to set up, and there comes a time you think, do I really want to be doing this anymore? I'm not in my 20s, and there's that to contend with. And I mean, I think you move, don't you? You change as you get older as well. Your tastes change.
Sure.
I think your perceptions of what's more important to you changes as well. That's what I've found.
Yeah, plus
Um,
what you just said resonated with me so much. Like,
mm,
I love to have my art in art shows, but
yeah.
I don't love packing up the art, putting
Ugh,
it in my car, driving across town, putting up
mm,
the labels and
yeah.
hanging it. And
Mm.
so the last few art shows I did, someone else hung it for me.
Oh, good.
Someone else drove it across town. And I was like, wait a minute, what? You're going to hang it? Oh, thank you.
So that's the answer. I should get a roadie then.
You need a roadie. You need roadies.
Yeah, they can set it all up. But I
Yeah,
think they
you
come.
just show up and sing. When
Yeah.
you would love that still.
Yeah, I love singing, but I think what I love to do is different now. It's more like, I mean, I'm still writing. I'm still songwriting. I love songwriting. It's a wonderful process. Oh, it's fabulous. It really is oh, just liberating. So I'm still doing that and I'm recording, but I would like to put my art up like you're putting your art up. Mine is going to go digitally, right, to be seen and available. And
Yeah.
that's how I'd like to do it. And if there is a live performance, then it's going to be something that is going to be once every few months in a really, really good venue, a nice venue. That's you start to choose, basically, is what I'm saying. You have to
Right.
kind of start choosing and leaving that stuff behind, like not changing that mindset of I have to do it. Because if you keep living with that, I have to do it, you're just never going to leave it. It's just always something you have to do because you've put yourself in that.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, isn't it, to lift yourself out of that mindset to make the change. I think it's really, really hard.
Well, I think that I caught myself once walking up. This was to the boyfriend that I eventually didn't hang out with anymore, but I remember going to his house on this one day, long day of work, and I'm walking down there and I'm thinking, oh. And then I thought, that's not the right act. That's not the right way to walk into your boyfriend's house.
No.
So with each step, I said to myself, I choose this, I choose this, I choose this, I choose.
Yes.
And by the time I got to the door, I was, hi, honey.
Right.
Instead of, let me tell you about my day. Because truly, even though we think we're forced to act a certain way, do a certain thing, be in a certain group, we are choosing every minute what we're doing in life. We just forget that we have choice.
And I think outside influence kind of exacerbates that sometimes. So you might get the negative energies around you who are also reinforcing the idea of you have no choice.
Absolutely. Well, and have you heard the idea that you are the 5 people you hang around with most? So if
Yeah.
you want to raise your vibration, you need 5 new people.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
hang out with.
5 in particular. 5.
Like your
Oh,
closest, the
yeah.
5 people that you hang out with the most
Yeah.
that's where your vibration is.
That's really
Are you
interesting.
hanging out with high vibe people? Are you hanging out with, because when I heard that, I was like, oh gosh, let me make a list. That person gossips, that person complains, that person is really fear-based. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
You see, that's really interesting because I have an ex-husband and low vibration. I mean, horrendous. but they are attracted to people who operate on high vibrations. So I'm a happy person. I'm positive. Feel a light inside of me, but they're attracted to that. These people, he is attracted to that. But what happens is that, okay, he might be rising in his vibrations, but it's actually squashing me. It's
Right.
bringing me down. So that's not
Right.
really useful, is it? So,
Yeah. So what would it be like if you, in your already high vibration, have some friends that are
I
higher
do.
than you?
I do. I do.
Right. And
I
isn't it
do.
fun? Isn't it
Yeah.
feel really good to
Yeah.
hang around with them?
Oh, beautiful. They're
Yeah.
a savior. But the wonderful thing is that I don't bring them down. It shouldn't be. It's kind of mutual. You lift each other, actually.
Right.
You know,
Right
you
on.
lift each other, and you sort of exist in a mutually light, high vibration, and you learn, and you just feel joy being in each other's company, talking about wonderful things, and this is great, rather than negativity draining the life out of your soul, which I know quite a lot about, and I have met so many people who have suffered this as well, and that's why I love meeting people like you, because you're a healer and a light worker.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 techniques to
Okay.
get rid of bad energy that you think got stuck on you.
Excellent. Okay.
They're super easy. One is you imagine,
Hmm.
have you ever seen a washing machine spin?
Yep.
Spin cycle. So you imagine that you're putting the spin cycle on all the energy around you, and everything that isn't your energy is just spinning out into the universe.
I like
Spin
that.
it. Just spin it out.
Yeah.
Another way to clear your own energy of other people's energy is in a shower or in a water bath.
I do that.
It can just get off of you.
Yes. Yes.
And the thing I used to imagine when I had to talk to my ex-husband, because I had that same kind of energetic thing, I used to keep my own energy just contained, and
Yes.
his bouncing off of me. And I actually used to tape a penny.
Oh,
I taped a coin to my chest and to the
okay.
middle of my back.
Oh,
You can
really?
do it with your imagination. You
Oh,
don't need a
brilliant.
coin.
Yeah.
But you can just say, I just imagine that you are surrounded by a bubble that's a mirror.
Right. My
So
friends,
anybody
yes,
else's energy just bounces back.
bounces off. Yeah. Or wear a mirror on your back is another one. My
Yeah.
one of my very close friends who I've known for like 15, 16 years. She's a Reiki master. And she says to me, she says, Mel, you've got to put yourself in a gold egg. A gold egg. It's
Oh,
your
I love that.
safe, a golden egg. And that's it. And I can even put my daughter in one as well. I can visualize it to protect her. So
Yeah.
I visualize a golden egg around her too, to ward off negative energies, it's the spirits. It's just the negativity in these people. It's just incredible. If you let them in, so it's protection. You're talking about protecting your spirit, protecting your soul is what you're talking about.
Right. Are
Yeah.
you familiar with the guy, James Von Prague?
No, I'm going to write that down.
He's a psychic medium. He's like kind of famous in the US.
Oh, okay.
And I'm also certified in his coaching school. But one of the things he says is energetically, some people are energies, vampires, basically. They're taking your energy, and you can imagine it's like a cord.
Yes.
That's connected between the two of you, and there's this energy going back and forth. And he said sometimes he would be at a book signing, and someone would just be taking all the time and energy and talking about all their, and he would do this with his hand.
Do you know, it's really weird.
Just talking to them, he would go like this, and in his imagination, he chops the cord from his heart area that goes back to them. And he said, it's so shocking. I did this the other day, Mel, with somebody on Zoom. We weren't even in person, but they were like, blah, 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 blah. I was thinking, I'm starting to feel worse and worse.
Yeah.
And they look happy. They look like they're getting a lot out of this. So I went like this. And she stuttered a little bit and stopped talking. It was instant.
Wow.
And
That's
I thought,
brilliant.
thank you, James Von Prague. Thank you.
That's great. I'm going to try that.
Try that. Yeah, try that.
I'm going to try that. But isn't that funny? I have done that automatically. Oh no, what did I say to my friend? I've done things that actually they tell you to do in like Reiki. They tell you
Yeah.
to do to get rid. So I've done this.
Oh yeah,
Literally
kind of the
get rid,
same
get
thing.
just it's like brushing off dust or something around my
Yeah.
on my aura. And I've been flicking it, and she laughed. She said that's what you do when you're getting rid of, it's like black sticking to your
Yes.
egg sticking to your egg, this dirt, but it's funny because I'm sure I've done that. I've actually done that, not knowing it's chopping a cord, because it's this person trying to stay attached to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah,
Yeah.
fascinating, fascinating to actually do things already instinctively.
Yeah. See,
That's
the thing I tell my coaching clients is this: you are far greater than you know.
that's
We are
lovely.
all have more power and more insight and
Yeah,
more capabilities than we
yeah.
give ourselves credit for.
Yes, yes. That's nice. That's really lovely to actually remind each other of that, because then you're raising vibrations even higher every time you say something like that.
Yeah.
It's bouncing each other. That's lovely. Gosh, that is really quite fascinating going into the spirituality. But isn't it funny, the elements of art, the doodling, whether it's music, it always leads to spirituality. Always, guaranteed. It's the soul. It's the soul. You're exposing the soul. So it's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I was looking at some of your what I found really lovely. I looked at your website, and there was, I think it's the front page, isn't it? Is it the shop window? Or there's
Oh
a
yeah.
shop window.
At my art website, D.Lisa.
Oh, I love it. There's a shop window there, and you've got some beautiful art bits hanging. It's really quite quirky. It's interesting. And there was some lovely words written. There are words on some of the art. It's like
Yeah.
art meets words, and you've put it, and some of these words I found, I thought they were keywords actually. Change, you've got one there, relax, edge, illumination, dream, flow, attention, focus, transformation, and courage. Are these the words that the people who have attended written themselves? Or does that come
Those would be words I wrote down while I
you
was
wrote?
doodling. When I started doing doodling, I
Yeah.
was in, yeah, maybe when I started seriously just keeping a sketchbook with me all the time.
Yeah.
I was in art school, and I used to try unsuccessfully to draw the scene around me. So I'd be on a bus or a train or a plane, and I would draw and sometimes people would be talking, and I would write down what they were saying.
Oh,
And they would
really?
be that, or what they were saying would become part of my drawing.
That's
And when COVID started and I
yeah.
started making my big drawings, I was actually just trying to stay sane. I was like, what? Don't go
Mhm.
outside, you're gonna die. Right? Wear a
Mhm.
mask, get a vaccine, whatever. I was like, okay, I
Mhm.
need to start listening to uplifting music. I need to
Mm.
listen to some podcasts that soothe my anxiety. And
Yeah.
I just started writing down the words
Lovely.
from what I was listening to. And then I started doodling over the words. So a lot of my doodles are, I love to write down words, even
Yeah.
a shopping list. Like, what am I going to get in the store? And then I will draw something over it. And then
Yeah.
sometimes I will paint over that. So some of the words will still be in it.
Right.
And there's a random occurrence which words show up.
It's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's your own process. That's the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's your own process for creating art. Because I'm looking at I'm going to look at your website now, your early work, and I've just looked at some of your drawings. Where are we? Early work, paintings. There we go. Oh, wonderful. Memories, dreams. There's a lovely goldfish here. There's some bottles down here. Beautiful. What do you use? It looks chalk.
Those most of those are oil
Are
paintings.
they oil paintings? I can't quite
Yeah.
see. Okay, oil paintings,
Yeah.
lovely. Absolutely beautiful. When you're actually doing this, are you generally on your own doing this, or are people around you? I mean, how does that work for you? What works better for you when you're doing your own
I
art?
I mainly do it in my own studio or in my own home.
Okay, so you're
Um,
alone. Yeah.
Unless I'm in a class. It's
Mm,
fun to be, and we haven't really had that since COVID started. We're just starting to
yeah.
open up again in Seattle now,
Good.
so we can do
Right.
things in person. It's
Right.
fun to be in a group of people making art at the same time.
Yes.
Although if I'm making a painting, it takes me months.
Mm,
So, I could spend 3 hours and it just doesn't look like anything.
Right.
I can go back and back and back, and
Yeah.
months later it turns into a painting. So
Yeah.
that's not really conducive to a group
No.
activity.
It's a personal journey, isn't it, when you're doing your
Yeah.
own art, and it's a bit like building a song. It's exactly the same. You chip away at it and you go back when you feel like it, when you're inspired and when you're ready to, actually. So it is a bit of a journey, isn't it?
Yes, and I do the same thing
Mm.
that my coaching clients do.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I hate that. Like, I'll be in the middle. I'll have a vision for what I want it to be, and I'm like, that's not good enough. Or
Right.
every once in a while, I'll go, awesome, got to stop
Mm.
right now, because every artist knows that if
Yeah.
you can, it's a certain point and it's done, and a certain
Yes.
point beyond that, and it's overdone.
Yes.
Do you ever do that with a song?
Yes.
So you worked it so much that now it's
Yes. Oh, D.Lisa, okay. What I've done with a song is I've recorded it once, and then I've gone back to it maybe even years later and re-recorded it again, and it's been another version,
Yeah.
There's, it's this like I was saying, this element of perfectionism, it can be really that can be quite draining actually on yourself. You're never completely satisfied, but there comes a point where I think you have to sort of, I say, train yourself. You've got to learn to think, actually, that's perfect as it is, and I listened back to some stuff that I've just uploaded, which has never been released. It's now released, and it was created in 2006, more or less. And the imperfections in the vocals, I'll be like, oh, I should record that again. I should do. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it, because that's part of the learning curve as well. That's about where you were at that particular moment in time, which can't be changed. That's it. It's unique.
Right.
It's unique. It's a special
Yeah.
moment in time. And it's the same with art. You can always go back, take my mother's an artist. She paints and draws as well. So I know a little bit about it and the processes, but it's like, would you take something you did 10 years ago and just, I think I'll just touch that up and add a little bird in there, or you wouldn't do it. It's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
I just think it's wrong. Don't do it. leave it.
It's
Your art.
true. You
Yeah.
change, like what I did 10 years ago. I couldn't add, I would have to paint over the whole entire painting.
Right.
I couldn't just go in and paint like that again, because I'm not that person anymore.
No.
I'm me today.
Yes. 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 So in a sense, it's a timeline. So when you look at it and you actually, if you put it up on on the walls, for example, you have, where you were 10 years ago and where you are now. It's a timeline. It's
Yeah.
you. It's your soul going on a journey.
Yeah.
It would be wrong to go and change anything. So it's quite interesting that I think it's the same for music too. And that's why even with the podcasting, I look at the early stuff and I think, ugh. But to where I'm coming to now, but I'm leaving it, because the whole message actually to people is that when we don't come into the world, we're not born perfect professionals. No, everything is a learning curve. And it's all about how you learn about yourself as well, what you're learning, what your journey, what you're going through. And it sounds like you've been on a journey, D.Lisa, as well. You've been on your own journey too in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like you have,
Absolutely. I was,
Yeah.
I have tales to tell.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I bet that's another podcast on its own, isn't it?
We could definitely talk about lots of different things. Lots of different things. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you've experienced heartache, hardship, difficulties somewhere in your life, because I mean, you can generally feel it in arts, but art is kind of this outlet. Would you agree with that? An outlet, an expression,
Oh, absolutely. In fact, my sister
yeah.
was telling someone the other day, and I forgot about this. We were teaching an art class together, and she said
Yeah.
that I've been using words in my art for a long time, that I once did a series of love letter paintings. I was like, oh, I
Oh,
forgot about that. So I found this box of old love letters written to me,
yeah.
and I ripped them up and I pasted them to this art, and some of the words you could see and some of them you couldn't.
Yeah.
That was so long ago. I was like, oh, I guess I have been putting words in art for a long time.
Yes.
But it was fun to
Yeah.
not only reminisce about those old lost loves that didn't work out. And one of them, I had several letters from this one person that I still know, and I mailed them back to him. I said, I'm going to send you these letters back before I turn them into an art project.
Oh, Amazing how someone can become a project, isn't it?
Right. Sorry, you're going to be an art project pretty soon.
That's it.
But yes, well, you can't be human.
Um,
You can't be in a human body
no,
for this long without having some
no,
heartache and
no.
some ups and downs. But
Mm,
I was thinking about that the other day. That is what the world is that we live in.
mm,
We're in this opposites kind of world. There's good and bad. There's
yeah.
evil and love. There's
Mm,
hot and cold.
mm.
There's spicy and bland. And without sorrow and joy, we wouldn't know where we were on the spectrum of feelings.
Yes.
So we
Yeah.
have to, I mean, and I do
Mm,
remember
mm,
feeling really bereft and really upset when I was getting divorced.
yeah.
And it was just heartbreaking. But
Mm,
I certainly learned how to have my own boundaries. I mean, if
mm.
I look back, I go, what did I learn from marrying that guy and getting divorced? I knew all my boundaries because my boundaries were sort of,
Blurred.
well, otherwise he couldn't have really wrecked me so much, or it
Yeah.
wouldn't have hurt so much if
Yeah.
I would have just said, oh, don't talk to me like that. Don't
Mm,
act like that.
mm,
Let's not do this.
mm.
So I'm grateful that I was married and I'm
Yeah.
divorced, and I learned
Yes.
where my edges
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
And I continue to grow and learn where my edges are now, because now it's easier.
Yes.
Now I know what I want to say no to.
Mm. Funnily enough, my friend said that today. She says, "At least I know what I don't want." That's what she said. And I'm not being funny, but that's it's really important actually. That's really important to know what you don't want. And that's part of the process, isn't it? We've got to go through life, I guess, and we have to go through these. So we have to, we do go through them, but we have to learn from them and try not to go there again. It's very, very hard because there's this thing about patterns as well. And
Sure.
yeah, it's very, very hard for some women, who've particularly come from abusive backgrounds as well, and who just kind of walk into situations and then, and then the relationship becomes toxic, actually. And to break away from that is fabulous. But the key is maintenance, is actually to stay away from it, because
Right. And
that's
there's
the
a
key.
quote by Michael Beckwith, who's
Mm.
you probably know him. He was on The Secret. He's a minister
Oh, I
in
love The Secret. Yeah.
Michael Beckwith says it this way, which is perfect. We're
Mm.
often pushed by our pain until we're pulled by our vision.
Oh, that's interesting.
Either
Yeah.
way, those are the
Mm.
two, it's like hot and cold. Those are the two ways
Yeah.
the universe is talking to us. We know what we
Mm.
don't want. So what would we love?
Exactly.
And that gives us I was trying to make an analogy out of like, what if you followed what you love all the time as much as you could, and
Mm.
you imagine that it was the light illuminating your freeway, that
Yes.
you're driving down this road, you're going toward this light, and the light is what you would love,
Yeah.
and it's lighting your way.
Mm.
And if you look back, you're like, whatever you're leaving behind is, don't want that anymore.
No.
And either
Yeah.
way, there's like, you don't know what you're going to go to next, but you
No.
know what you would love,
Mm.
and you know how you would love to feel. And so
Yeah.
you go toward that, just a tiny
Yeah.
step at a time.
It's really interesting, because I think a lot of the times we don't choose to go through what we go through. Things just happen. People are drawn, and you get into situations that you didn't particularly choose. And I mean, I can look back and think, I didn't even want that then, but it didn't go, you know.
Yeah.
But so it's learning actually to deflect, to as it's coming towards you, because like you say, there's love in the world, but there's also evil in the world. So it's learning to recognize both. And it's very hard, because sometimes evil can come in the form of love, what looks like love, a shape of love, but it's not. It's bad for you. So it's learning to actually recognize that. And I think that's something you can only do when you've got more wisdom. That's what I think. And sadly, wisdom comes through time, which means that you get older. And so it's
I
only,
know, it's so
you know
true.
what I mean?
It's absolutely so true. And you've probably heard this saying, if not now, when?
Mm.
If not now, when? Like, if you're asking
Mm.
yourself, should I do this or that? If not
Mm.
now, when? And I was like,
Yeah.
I heard that 35 years ago.
Yeah.
La 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 la. And I was like, wait a minute, 35 years. If not now, when? Maybe now.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
now.
Mm,
And there's a part of me that wishes I knew everything I know right now. 35 years
mm,
ago, I didn't
no.
really fully comprehend it.
No.
Um, and
No.
now I do. I still slip back into, the worry and
Yeah.
repetitive thoughts that people
Mm,
have. But
mm.
now I can notice I'm having them.
That's it. That's it. So it's bringing it all into awareness. That's the thing. I
Yep.
mean, I think I'm going to ask you, do you think that actually doing the art, doing the courses with you, meditation and the doodling will help bring yourself into awareness? Do you
Oh
think
yeah.
it right?
Oh yeah.
So actually, I mean, I don't know what age group actually attend your courses. Do you have more older people? Do you have young people? What age
Right
group?
now I have, when I imagined who my clients would be, I imagined that I'd have successful estate agents
Right.
that just wonder what's next, or is this all there is? And they'd be signing up with me. But it
Mm.
turns out I have younger people, like
Oh, interesting.
30-ish, 30, 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So and mostly women,
Mhm. Mm.
the people that are willing to go look at their thoughts and feelings. And
Yes.
another thing I love to talk about is dreaming. Like when you're asleep, that could be a whole
Oh.
podcast.
Oh.
I
I
love
did,
to talk about
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh, do tell me though, because I did a dissertation on dream songs. So I wrote songs around that was actually
I
I
love it.
yeah. So basically I did an entire album for my masters of music and it was on my dream songs and they were songs I really dreamt.
How
And
many
I
songs, how many songs have you dreamt, Mel?
Oh, many, but I can remember, how many did I write? I think it was about 6, but I did one particular song that was 10 minutes long, right? So and I created it, it was 10 minutes long, and basically I called it the dream state song. So it had all these sounds of, like, heartbeats and, when you are in a deep dreaming, sleeping state, and then it had some waking up in the middle of the night and so you go, "Ah!" Some sort of weird noises and things like that. It was really it's quite arty, actually, if I say so myself, and I brought my daughter into it, so it's like, "Mummy, mummy,"
I
and it
love
came
it.
right, and so I had that, like, so part so, because dreams are weird. I mean, dreams are just, they're nonsensical at all, they're just there's no sense to them. But they're trying to tell you something,
Right
aren't they?
on.
It's they're
Absolutely.
Yeah, something is being said and communicated. So, no, I have had dreams where literally I've been presented literally, it feels like I've been given a song and I've literally written the song and recorded it. I have actually done that, and it feels like it's not mine because I dreamt it. It's crazy. Like an angel gave it to me. Or
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's when we're asleep, we go into
yeah,
this state that's very much like a very deep meditative state where
yeah,
we're connected to the everything.
yeah,
So we're connected to the universal mind, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it, where the answers to everything is.
yeah,
Many, many, many people in history have dreamt inventions, solutions to their mathematical problems,
right,
solutions to their chemical problems.
right.
I'm sure other people have dreamt music as well. I've
Oh,
read
yes.
about a couple
Yeah.
of songs that just came straight out into the musicians' heads, and then they turned into
Yes.
hit songs as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yep.
I think dreaming is fascinating. I've been writing down my dreams for more than 40 years.
Wow. Oh my word.
Now,
That
the
is
trippy thing
incredible.
about dreaming is
Yeah.
it does seem like it's nonsensical. It seems like
Mm.
it's telling you something, but you don't know what it is,
Mm.
right? You said that.
Yeah.
It's just telling you in a different language.
Mm.
Like the language of art,
Mm.
the visual art or even art in music, there's a language to it. There's a language to dreams too. So dreams
Mm.
will tell you in a metaphorical way
Mm.
something you need to know or become aware of, something that might help you now or in the future.
Yes.
Let's go back to marrying that guy that I had to divorce. So
Mm.
right after I married him, we
Mm.
married after we met for 3 weeks. Bad idea. Okay, so anyway, I got married, and in the dream, I'm having a party with all my relatives, and he's
Yeah.
there, and this party's really boring. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't wait to get out of here. And I look at I'm being polite, polite chit chat, and I look at the doors across this room, and they're those doors that you push a big bar to get out, and the
Yes.
big chains wrapped around them.
Oh,
And so I think in the dream, I can't leave. The doors are
no.
locked.
Mm.
And then a few minutes later, in dream world, I'm looking around and I realize the chain is wrapped around, but there's no lock.
Ah, interesting.
And then I say to myself in the dream, well, I can
Yeah.
just walk out whenever I
Yeah.
want to.
That's
So I
it.
wake up, I write down the dream. And I'm like, well, I wonder what that meant.
Hmm.
Now, you can tell me what that means.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't really trapped in that marriage.
No, you
I could
weren't.
leave whenever I wanted to.
Yeah. Mhm.
Did I? No, I stayed
No.
for 10 years. But
Same here.
there's a part of me that knew I could get out right
Yeah.
then, like a
Mm.
couple days after I married him. I knew
Ah,
I wasn't trapped. And my dream told me that.
D.Lisa, that is resonating with me massively because I had the same.
You had a
My
dream that told you
No,
you weren't
no, no,
trapped?
not dream. It really happened. I mean,
Uh-huh.
no, no, really, there were chains on the door. Trust me. No, I got married, and it's exactly the same. What you're saying is, I said that apparently. Oh, I can always get out. Which don't go into something you're not sure about. What are you thinking? So it's again, you're going back to that belief system. Something in there is believing that you have to be in something you don't want to be in.
Right.
So what
Mhm.
is that? Where does that come from? And hopefully through art and through your doodling courses and everything, hopefully they've got the opportunity to go and tap into that, to find that part out, to find it out. As a counselor, that's probably what I would work with. Well,
Yeah.
it would definitely be that, because where does that idea come from? What is it about that person's life or past where they felt trapped before? Because my guess is they felt trapped before somewhere in the past, that it's being replayed in this moment now somewhere. It's very, very subtle.
Absolutely. It's like a paradigm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we all have these parts
Mm,
that are running around doing things
mm,
automatically that may or may not help us anymore. Because, of
mm.
course, as you know, as a counselor, those parts were created when we were like 5 or 6 years old. So they
Yes.
might have been super helpful when we're 5 or 6, surviving in the world. But when
Mhm.
we're adults, we don't need to be thinking like a 5 or 6 year old anymore.
It's
So one
yeah.
of the things I
Mm,
do in my coaching program is when
yeah.
fear comes up,
Mm,
mostly because there's a paradigm running. It's a
yeah.
familiar pattern of thoughts and actions that you do automatically. And then
Right.
that's this little part of you doing this. And
Right.
you're like, what's the big part of you? What's the part of you that wants to go to that dream?
Yeah.
What are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
Um, let's talk to that part and let's
Yeah.
go boldly step
Yeah.
forward
Yeah.
into this new beautiful dream.
Yes.
Now, and then I really do think the part of what I do with people that's missing
Mm.
is particularly suitable for counselors to do actual parts work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I know, do you know about NLP? The
I
people
do.
that, two people
Yes.
that
Yeah,
do
yeah.
that in
Yeah.
parts
Yeah.
work, I think you get
Yes.
you get
Yes.
a really great shift in
Yeah.
what's happening for you,
Yeah.
and you get
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. 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 I tend to work what's called person centered. So it's really working with the person in the moment,
Mhm.
and it's conveying empathy, unconditional positive regard, which is all the things you're doing,
Right.
and you're prizing your clients, which means that you're loving them by showing them acceptance and validation for what they're doing. And that kind of feeds into their psyche. And that's where a lot of the healing is done, is through that.
Yeah.
But what you're doing, I mean, you're doing a lot of that, but what you're doing with the artist, you're starting to unpick, you're starting the process of unpicking all the deep stuff. And then when they're ready and it's coming to their awareness, they can then take it to therapy.
Yeah.
So you're actually helping bridging them over to that.
Yeah.
That's the way I see what you're doing.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I see what you're doing. I think you could do it yourself anyway, to be honest with you. I mean, what you're doing is amazing, and the healing, and to look into that, because there's a lot of intuition here, isn't there? I mean, you have to be intuitive to do this. You have to see beyond the words, beyond the images, looking through all these different, the angles are not just the shadows and the lighting, but it's actually what's the meaning? What's the meaning?
Right.
And there are so many, so I can see, I can feel, I'm tuned in to what you're doing. So, because I feel you're very open, and I'm tuned in. So yeah, I'll be getting on a plane soon.
Okay, Mel. I'll be
Come
happy
and
to
see
host
you.
you here.
Anyway, well, it's been absolutely amazing talking with you, D.Lisa, and I think we should talk again about and bring up all the other stuff that we've mentioned, because
I know
think
we could go on and on.
we
all
could go on
night
and
long.
on and on, and I think we've got another 2 episodes there, so I'll put this as episode 1.
All right. All right. To be continued.
To be continued.